All right. We are doing a live doomsday clock election pre-night, sort of the, hold on. I just want to make sure, there we go. Okay. It's on Instagram. It's on Facebook. It's on YouTube. It's on TikTok. It's on really anything with a chip and a signal right now. Bringing on shortly the great Renée Yaworsky, legal mind extraordinaire, along with the great Rory Penland, man of 1,782 voices, able to understand the inner workings of the inner mind. Did I mention LinkedIn? Let's throw that in while we're at it. And we're going to take a look at the two candidates that are running and what we think is going to happen. Plus, we have special, unique footage of a little chinwag with Hillary Clinton I had over the weekend. And this was her giving a little speech first, which she kind of nails down what's at stake from her perspective. Let's remember that she ran against Donald Trump. He was on the stage with her, and we'll get into that in just a minute. But you'll be able to see something you have not seen before because it has not been public. So you'll be able to see that first in probably about 5 minutes. But let's bring on Rory Penland. Let's bring on Renée Yaworsky.
Hello, hello. She's a nasty woman. That nasty woman. She talks about me all the time. What can I say?
You know, that reminds me of what Donald Trump said just the other day. He said, I'm going to protect women whether they like it or not.
Yeah.
Now, Renée, as a woman, do you feel that being protected whether you like it or not by Donald Trump is actual protection? Does he have your back? We know he has your front.
Yeah, he's got your pee.
He's definitely got everything on the front. We're not sure if he's a butt man or not. We know he's a golden shower man, and we know he's a pee man. But yeah, I mean, obviously this is paradoxical. It's you know, if he's protecting me whether I want him to or not, I think obviously he's the one I need protection from. It's kind of like that abusive boyfriend that comes in, says, look what you made me do. You know, I know better than you. No one else can, you know, no one else will ever take you. I'm all that you've got. You know, it's just classic toxic boyfriend energy from Donald Trump. And I think we need to break up with them as a nation. I think we need to actually break up with them. He's one of those boyfriends. The cat came back. You know, we got rid of him. Then he keeps coming back. He's crying out of the window, baby, please, I love you. You know, it's crazy. He gets his friends to come and say, come on, give him another chance. He didn't mean it. You know, and we got to break up for real. We got to sever him clean. The head must come off. The guillotine has to take.
Guillotine story, because you know how we love our little mystery history.
Metaphorically, because I would never want anything to happen to a former president or a future president of this great nation.
Did you hear what she said about me? It's terrible. She's almost as bad as Crooked Hillary.
Well, and we're going to get to Crooked Hillary in just a minute because no one will have seen this footage before. No one.
Right.
I shot it with my phone right up close and personal before having a little conversation. And she laid out what's at stake here in talking to a variety of different Trump supporters. I have, you have, we all have. Maybe you are one. I'm always fascinated by, well, let's say Kamala had 34 felonies. One, she would not be allowed to fly in an airplane. TSA is not going to let her through the line. 2, she couldn't even get a job as a greeter at Walmart. 3, she couldn't even sell condoms or lubricant at a CVS. 4, we can go on for hours of what she may or may not be able to do, is mostly may not be able to do it. No freedom of movement, probably has a leg monitor on because she'd be a rapist, a sexual pervert, which means she couldn't actually drive within a mile of a schoolyard. And yet an exception has been made. So let's take a moment before we go to this Hillary Clinton footage that's unique. I shot it on Saturday. I'm just teasing it so people know it's upcoming. You're going to want to see her assessment. She knows Donald Trump. What she says is in store for this country. But let's examine for a quick moment what happens or why my train of thought derailed. I have no idea. What was I saying before earlier? It's maybe dementia.
You were talking about teasing Hillary?
Teasing. Well, that's a full-time job. She is wearing a long tunic now, so it would take a little more. No, I was going to say something about Well, apart from Project 2025 and all the rest of it, Donald Trump, who we like in certain ways, like I like Ringmaster Ned from Bozo Circus. I like big, loud circus performers. They're awesome. So I like that part of him. But he doesn't actually have any beliefs. That part's a problem. So if someone believes something and stands by it, I respect them. You know, my family's a Mayflower family. So I actually think I really do have the best politics because mine are of my ancestors and everyone else is a fucking visitor. If you want to act like Donald Trump, you immigrants, you Penland, is that really Penarski? Is that really Pen Gomez?
We come from Scotland, lad. The Penland Mountain in Scotland. But they took the T out of my name.
That's why this is so ridiculous, because Donald Trump is the son of immigrants. That means his parents are immigrants. That means you should go dig them up, exhume the bodies, and send them away. And that way he would have integrity.
What about his wives?
Yes, and even his wives. His wives are immigrants. Jesus, right? So
I mean, Marla Maples probably not, but but the other two, one of them buried on a golf course.
Yeah, I was talking to an African American guy today who's part of Black MAGA, which I like their hats. I got to say, they have great hats. And he was telling me today, well, you know, he's going to like make the economy great again. I said, the economy, the Wall Street has surpassed unbelievable records. I said,
you're going to create more black jobs, man.
The reason you don't know about it is because the Democrats suck at messaging. They absolutely suck. Like they did some extraordinary stuff with Medicare. Who knew? Mildred, who's the beneficiary, she doesn't even know because the Democrats just don't talk about it. For them, they're just kind of fixing stuff and making it right. But this is like front page, really high end fixer upper stuff. And God damn it, I just forgot again. It must be the hour.
It's doomsday.
It's doomsday.
You're worried about doomsday.
Really, I'm sitting here with kind of a rectal prolapse. I must be sitting on a spongy cushion or something.
That's too much information.
It's not enough. Just wait. I'm terrified, but I'm optimistic at the same time. Let's take a look. So this was Saturday, 2 days ago. Hillary Clinton came to Tampa Bay. Bill was in Orlando, where you are. Yeah, they sent all the big guns in. The Democrats have come to life. They're taking this very seriously. And Hillary Clinton, who spent years dealing with Donald Trump, she points out what's at stake, but she also told a little anecdote that you won't see here on video. And I'm going to have to maybe use a colorful word, but I'm quoting her verbatim. So I'm not being gratuitous here.
She cusses like a sailor, that one.
Well, she did. She said, when Donald Trump had his inauguration, she said, first of all, there weren't that many people there. You remember those reports. Oh, yeah, it was lean and mean. And he said it was the largest coronation.
Biggest crowd ever. Thousands of people waiting outside.
Yeah, she said, no, it was just like the first ladies, us, the presidents, handful of people that were paid to be there, whoever, not a big deal. And Trump went on and she said, I'm looking for the presidential statement, which is you always say things like, I will be president of all the people. I will do something for everyone. You say presidential things during your
But he's doing shtick with the mic stand. Yeah.
That's all he did. And then he got dystopian and it was dark and it was filled with hell and horrors and bloodbaths and all of this. And George W. Bush turned to Hillary Clinton. Can you imagine him turning to Hillary Clinton and saying, that was some weird shit?
Man, I'll tell you something right now. That was some weird shit. Dystopian fucking crap.
We talked about that. So let's take a look. We could do a triple screen or whatever, Renee. And Renee, you're not cut out of this in any way. So bring yourself on whenever.
Okay.
Let's enjoy Hillary. I shot it in vertical mode. so that we could do a quadruple screen if there is
We do
such a thing.
quadruple?
But
We'll play with it. I'll show
I'll
you
move
the
over
different
here.
angles.
We'll play with it. I was playing with it earlier.
Exactly. That
Or should I move over here?
we were all playing with
Yeah,
it earlier.
we'll move to make it fit.
We'll move to Are you hung like Arnold Palmer in the shower?
Now let's take a moment.
It was a real
dissect
man
that.
right there.
Yep. That's
Arnold-
what matters. That's what matters.
Okay, so let's explain while you cue that up, Renee, this whole Arnold Palmer thing. Now, it's a crooked syllogism. So a syllogism, if P then Q. So if Donald Trump, a known toadstooler, this according to Stormy Daniels, so he suffers from an unfortunate mycoplasmic. Yeah, he's just got an unfortunate. It's a toadstooler. Let's just call it what it is.
PPNV.
So
Which could explain half of his personality or more.
the twisted syllogism is everyone knows I have a toadstool, which is vile and rotten, and nobody wants to get near it, and it's odoriferous. I walk in a room and people have to, they grab their olfactory glands and shove, cotton swabs up their nostrils to avoid this. So he's a toadstooler. Arnold Palmer has a giant proboscis, a hanging, girthy, swinging, like a
He's
giant,
got another 9-iron.
yes,
like a 9-iron. Yeah.
like hanging 9-irons, right? So it's this giant, huge, massive thing. I will tell you for a fact, there is not one golf pro alive in the world that would ever stare at that while Arnold was taking a shower and then come out and go, wow, I just saw Arnold Palmer's giant
Schlong.
Wow, what a man. Woo, wow.
Harvey Weinstein got schlonged.
But you don't want to see it, and you certainly don't want to repeat it. Yuck. So the idea that a golf pro would ever mention having seen that, one, it's embarrassing. Why were you looking? Two,
I'm surprised most of the golfers haven't come out and said that.
they're so embarrassed. They're so embarrassed. It was egregious. But here's what happened. This is the part that's important. Why would he say this? Crooked syllogism. If P, then Q. Golf pro Arnold Palmer, known and beloved by the world, when showering, we notice a giant schlong. I, a toadstooler, am also a golfer. Therefore, I have a giant schlong. Because he did say he did play as well as Arnold Palmer. Also said, I love women. I love them. Yes, I do. Like Tom Cruise. I love women. Really, 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 I do. And Oprah's like, stop jumping on my couch. I don't believe this. Yeah. So worshiping that, it's the bad syllogism. If Arnold Palmer has a big one and plays chronic golf, therefore, if you play chronic golf, you have a big one too, and not a toadstool. There it is. Does anyone, who's he saying? Do men care about the toadstool? Not really. Not straight men. No, they don't want to know. Blah, 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 blah. They don't want to know. They don't want to know what, they don't want to know. Zero. Women, unless they think he's hot, and we'll have to ask Renee very quickly before we go to the video.
I'm here for I'm here for all mushroom and schlong and 9-iron references. Yes.
All honesty, you are a beautiful, vibrant young woman.
Absolutely.
Donald Trump,
Thank you.
You're laying in bed, completely unclad, like a Melania on a first date. There you are.
Melania on her first date we gotta go way back. We gotta
walks in, pulls the robe off, takes the diaper down.
With Donald Trump, okay? So you're laying on your back, completely sparkling. You've just come out of the shower. You have little dewdrops of water.
But it's not a golden shower. It's just a regular shower.
He hasn't started yet.
He hasn't started yet.
You're laying on the bed. Let me set the scene. You're laying on your back, completely covered in little dewdrops of water, prismically reflecting colors of light because of the beautiful ambient lighting. And there you are. In he walks wearing garters around his ankles, the ones that hold up the socks.
We're getting Ilana's here. She's another attorney. She says, we are getting traumatized.
I do not
because
like
the visual is already implanted.
He's standing at the foot of the bed. We have this beautiful, glistening maiden in the sack. Then we have the guy with garters holding his socks up. And then a panis, not to be confused with the P-E-N-I-S. A panis is when your belly is so big, it flops over and actually covers your toadstool. Mm-hmm. So in order to reveal the toadstool, you have to peel it back to then reveal the toadstool. So you've got that, and it's milky white, covered in black, patchy hair, okay? With a giant 4-inch inverted belly button.
Inverted belly button.
Then you look up at the milky white man boobs with a few hair sprouters here and there, but giant areolae that really don't look so good on men. But that's part of his look.
That's part of his thing, yeah.
Yeah, and then because he's sweating so much, the orange makeup is kind of running down his face.
Right.
And his hair plugs or toupee or whatever it is, it kind of blew as he came in the room. It kind of, his comb over blew over to the other side. So,
I don't know what happened, but we just got a bunch of new viewers who are walking in right now. Like, of all the times for them to walk in, they're walking in right now. They have no idea what's going on.
And what I was going to say at this point was, what do we learn from this? Never tell Cary that he's gone too far.
No, but
it's going to go farther.
Nothing has happened.
He hasn't gone too far. This is reality, unfortunately. This is the world we live in.
Nobody has touched anyone. Nothing has happened here. Beautiful young maiden, astride on the bed, glistening dewdrops from just freshly out of the water, the light rhythmically dropping through the dewdrops, her tiny little blonde hairs perking up in just the right spots. Golden maiden.
Yes, Ilana. Ilana speaks for me. Ilana speaks for half of the planet right now.
That'd be paying me so much and providing some serious drugs.
Some serious drugs.
End of the bed, just to reset. The garters holding the socks up, the panis overflowing over the giant toadstool, trapped moistly under the panis.
Oh, no.
Okay? The milky white man boobs, giant areola, the comb over thrown to the other side because you ran in and it flipped over. So there's a giant kind of a ball.
The pungent odor that you described earlier.
Odors. He's sweating.
Oh,
and
no.
Are you
ketchup?
Are you the beautiful woman? I just want to know, because says he's the most handsome man in the world. And his doctor reports he has the body of an 18-year-old man.
Right. Yes.
Is this what you see?
A very unhealthy 18-year-old man. Absolutely. No, and Stormy Daniels, when she relates it today, she talks about going into a state of shock where till today, she said she has no idea what happened or why she stayed, but she was petrified by the sight. I could see that. I could actually see myself being so horrified, like deer in the headlights, that I wouldn't wake up until after. And it was it didn't take that long either. That was another aspect of this. It was, it was so quick. I'm thinking that she is telling the truth, that she sort of just blacked out because she was so horrified. It's so traumatic. It's just a traumatic thing. That's what I think.
I guess it would be like someone coming in. So for a man to sort of understand the experience, which may be a little more difficult, but let's say the man is a bottom. Let's say he's a gay male bottom. So he understands the potential joys, not from that person.
Right.
It's in general. It'd be like someone coming at you with a frying pan and says, I'm going to put it in there, a toadstool.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, how does that work?
Yeah, he defies physics. We don't even understand. We need to have a mathematician explain the geometry, and then a physicist has to show up. We need a whole team of experts to weigh in on how this happens.
You need a chef in there with vegetable carving knives to cut up that mushroom, that toadstool.
Right. And we can't forget that on the Howard Stern show some years back, Trump bragged about how even though he didn't serve in Vietnam, he did live such a dangerous lifestyle by all of the international sex that he attempted to have, that he had his own private Vietnam, which is very rude to actual veterans, of course, but I think he thought it was hilarious. But now we're getting a new appreciation for why he talks about sex being so dangerous. Now I'm starting to understand that when you have that type of toadstool, we don't know how it works. And Stormy doesn't know because she kind of blacked out. So the world may never know, really. It's like the Tootsie Roll.
With it, I mean, like we are all imagining that the E. coli outbreak at McDonald's, which dropped the stock by at least 6%, is still causing terrible ripples for many months soon to come. We can only conclude that when he was in McDonald's frying hamburgers, dressed as Ronald McDonald or whatever, that he obviously transmitted the E. coli and caused the original problem. Not to mention, who doesn't want their president riding shotgun in a garbage truck? Like,
that's
that's my ancestors saying America has arrived. The president, Thomas Jefferson, riding shotgun in a garbage truck. Like, we are to be taken seriously.
And he liked that outfit so much, he wore it to his rallies the next couple of days.
He loved it. He's an entertainer,
I'm a garbage man.
The real reason he wants to be president, I think he's basically articulated this, that he's terrified about not getting to do his rallies anymore and his dress ups acts. And I mean, this is what he lives for, is the carnival barker thing. He's really in it for the rallies. If he has to wake up a couple days from now and he can't have a rally, that's
party.
It's going to be another Vietnam for him. It's going to be traumatic.
The dogs, the people that came in, they're eating the cats. They're eating their pets.
They're eating the hamsters. They're eating the gerbils, the guinea pigs, those Haitians.
Yeah, and everyone knows what his daddy, back in the days of renting apartment buildings to African Americans, they were never welcome there. So it's hard. Let's take a look at Hillary Clinton. This I shot a couple of days ago. She was here in Tampa Bay, flew in to really try to make Florida blue again. And we are enjoying the doomsday clock of how it's all going to turn out. She felt optimistic that the Democrats that have been conspicuously missing for about 20 years, let's just all admit it openly and freely, but have blossomed back to life. And there's a very good chance that every girl who's Gen Z, who knows that she's going to have a boyfriend, that she may have to deal with it at some point, that she can. Did you know 65,000 women now, since the reversal of Roe v. Wade, 65,000 women have been forced to carry to term through their full pregnancy and give birth to children of rapists, or maybe it's their father or their uncle. 65,000 now in America, all having to give children to somebody who raped them, or maybe it was a parent. And this is not normal, by the way. It might be in UCLA, uncultured lower Alabama or somewhere, where it may be a way of life. But for the rest of us, no, thank you. So let's take a look now at Hillary Clinton. I shot this up close and personal. Another time we'll do the conversation. She also has a new book. So there's going to be a book interview. But this is her laying down, short and sweet, and we could talk over this a little bit if you guys want. What's at stake in this election, which by the time you watch this, it may have already happened. Maybe you're watching it tonight, so you can make further decisions about what to do tomorrow.
Thank you so much. It's so exciting to be back in Tampa. I am thrilled. And sit down, please. Yeah. I'm only going to talk for a couple of hours.
Did you know she had a sense of humor?
I won't talk for a couple of hours.
He seems more relaxed than usual.
I have to say, when I saw Elio in Chicago, and Bill said, I think we can win Florida, he said, well, are you going to come? And we said, well, that's kind of up to the campaign, but if we can, we will. So I'm here in Tampa today, Bill's in Orlando tomorrow. So we kept our word to our longtime friend. It's so great to see him and Angelique here, to see once again the community coming out in support of an absolutely
the community is the gay community, by the way.
Candidate. I am so excited about the vice president becoming our president, and obviously I know that Florida's a tough state, but we've got a lot of tough people here in this audience who are working hard every single day. I want to thank Victor DeMaio and Charlie Rodriguez and Pat Kemp and Bob Herriquez and everyone who is in positions of responsibility, both in local government, state government, and of course the campaign. You know, I'm really inspired by this campaign, and I know that this is the final weekend for early voting, right? Right. How many of you have already voted? Because that is really making a big difference around the country. People are turning out. They are standing in line. They are waiting for hours in some case to be sure they get their vote in. And I believe that here in this state, you are demonstrating why Florida should not be an afterthought. It needs to be front and center as we vote for Tuesday. I was told you have 154,000 volunteers knocking on doors, making calls, and you've already had, I think, a couple million people vote. So you just have to keep the energy and the enthusiasm going, because this is going to be a very close election. We all know that, right? And so literally anything you do between now and Tuesday could make a difference. Yeah. And I don't want anybody waking up on Wednesday saying, oh my gosh, if I'd only made, 10 or 20 or 100 more phone calls, knocked on a few more doors, called my family, my friends, everybody that I could reach, because freedom is on the ballot. Yeah. This is an election about the fundamental values of our country, our democracy, our freedom. I know some of you, as I just heard, like my sister-in-law, came from a dictatorship to freedom. You came from Cuba. You came from other places, right? Please remind your friends and neighbors that freedom is on the ballot here in the United States. Now, I never thought I would have to say that. We used to run campaigns where we'd talk about, well, what's our policy on, this and that, and how are we going to put legislation through, all of which is really important. But this time is more critical than ever before. It's going to require everything we can do between now and the election, because, we do have a presidential candidate on the other side, and I don't understand why people don't take him seriously and literally. Right. When he says he wants to be a dictator on day one, why do people say, oh, he doesn't mean it? Everything he has said and done, all of the people he admires, I'll tell you, if Fidel Castro were still alive, he'd be admiring Fidel Castro, because he likes the authoritarians, he likes the dictators, he likes Putin, he likes Orban, he even likes the guy in North Korea. I mean, think about it. He is someone who does not believe in the fundamental values and institutions and ideals of the United States of America. He wants to be in charge of everything with no accountability, which is a recipe for not just trouble, but dictatorship.
Have you heard
and we
this
have
before?
one party in Congress, unfortunately, who seems willing to let him have his own way. I was in the Senate for 8 years. I know some of the people who are still there. I worked with them. And you know what? They know better. I listen to the things they say, I listen to the excuses they make about what Trump says, trying to explain it away, what he says about our fellow Americans. And remember, he has been attacking immigrants. He's been attacking Latinos, women, in particular Puerto Ricans, recently at that disgraceful event that he held in New York. He attacks women all the time. Yeah. He attacks the LGBTQ community. He attacks people with disabilities. I mean, he is an equal opportunity insulter. And many of us have, had our rights and safety threatened. When I say us, I mean fellow Americans.
Isn't this a different side of her?
Stories about
I think not
people
being
living in our
president
country that then
is good on
cause
her,
all
actually,
kinds
to not
of
have the same level of pressure.
hate and even threats to be made. He is responsible for that, just like he is responsible for what happened on January 6, 2021, when he instigated a coup, an insurrection against the lawful constitutional order of our country. Now, Democrats are offering a very different vision. And we have a candidate in Kamala Harris and a vice presidential candidate in Tim Walz who want to lift us up, who want to encourage us to be optimistic and positive. That's when America is at our best. When we believe in ourselves and each other, and we get up every day trying to figure out how to make it better. That's what they are showing us in this campaign. I've known Kamala Harris for a long time. Her sister worked for me in my campaign in 2016. Her husband is a friend of ours. We know them personally, but we also know her politically. We know she has the character, the temperament, the values, the self-discipline to be the president. This is not a job you give to somebody who is impulsive, you never know what's going to come out of his mouth from minute to minute. He's become more unstable, more unhinged, more dangerous. She is the kind of leader who I think will make us not only feel better, but we won't have to be worrying about her every single day the way we worry about what he's going to do next. So we have a decision to make on Tuesday that as well as I is going to have huge repercussions. I have 3 grandchildren now, and I cannot tell you how delighted, proud, happy, energized I am, but I also worry about the future. And I worry about, will they have the kind of country with the promise of freedom, with a strong, thriving democracy, with good, stable leadership, or not? And so our job is to reach as many people as we can, to make sure that they don't believe the wacky stuff that is said about our candidates, and that they tune in and actually watch what he says. And that they know there's a big difference. He has an enemies list, she has a to-do list. And I want somebody who actually wants to get up every day and go to work for the American people. I also hope that we can send a new senator from Florida. Debbie Carcel-Powell has been running a terrific campaign. When she first started, you didn't give her much of a chance. Nobody gave her much of a chance, but she's been dogged and determined and has been running a campaign that shows she will offer the kind of leadership Florida deserves to have in the Senate. And so I think her race is very close. Again, it will come down to turnout. And then let's also support Whitney Fox and Pat Kemp to go to the House of Representatives. legislature, Tampa's own leader, Fintress Driscoll, has a real shot at breaking that right-wing supermajority in the Florida House. Take the power away from the extremists. You know, if you really look at the kinds of things they're doing and saying, it doesn't reflect the majority of people in Florida. Something else that doesn't reflect is the abortion ban here in Florida. And it's imperative that you convince everybody you can reach to vote yes on Amendment 4 to protect reproductive freedom across Florida. We now have 4 verified deaths of women. 2 in Georgia, 2 in Texas. We also have a lot of near misses in Florida of women who were denied care when they were having a miscarriage, showed up at the hospital where before, or in the other half of the country, they would have been taken care of. Now they are left to suffer. Sometimes they have lasting mental and physical injuries before they are cared for. Who wants that for anybody that you know? That is not the kind of country we are, and it certainly is not the kind of state Florida should be. So when you think about the stakes, it should be kind of a clear choice, but you know it's going to be close. Yeah. And I can only hope that you do everything you can to persuade people who are still persuadable, and you do everything you can to make sure everybody who's already made up their mind will actually turn out and vote. You know, after 2016, I can't tell you how many people said to me, "I'm so sorry, I didn't think you needed me." And so now everybody, I hope, remembers we need you all. We need every single one of you to vote for yourself, to vote for your future, to vote for your freedom in this state and the country. So we got to go above and beyond anything we possibly have done before. I think that's what the vice president is doing. You know, she is just crisscrossing the country. If we didn't have the Electoral College, you would have seen her in Florida. But you know, there's only a few states that people go to in these campaigns, which I think is very unfortunate, because we should have a national campaign where candidates go everywhere across the country making their case, instead of being stuck with this artificial anachronism that limits the campaign to 7 states. Totally wrong. Totally wrong. That's right. Well, but you know, we have to make sure she wins both the popular vote and the Electoral College. And you know, I would even suggest that if you have friends or family members that you kind of don't talk about politics with anymore. Oh, I know that doesn't happen to everybody, but it happens to a lot of people, doesn't it? Yep. Well, maybe you could text them or call them and say, you know, I know we don't agree, but freedom is on the ballot. I know we don't agree, but Rick Scott was responsible for the biggest Medicare fraud in American history. Also supported a national abortion ban, only won last time by 1%. So why would you reward somebody in a state that has the highest proportion of people on Medicare, who was the biggest ripper offer of Medicare, right? I mean, why would you do that? I think it's time to say thank you very much. So we can't take anything for granted. How many of you were at the DNC? Oh yeah, it was great. Beautifully produced, extraordinary convention. And thank you. Well, you know, I said in that speech, I said, you know, I was there, not just because Kamala asked me to, but I was there because I want my grandchildren and their grandchildren to know that when freedom was on the ballot, I showed up, just like all of you are showing up. So please, whatever you can do, just pull out all the stops. We have 3 days. Like I said, Bill will be in Orlando tomorrow. We are doing everything we can because we love this country. We are grateful for the blessings that we each have been given. We are incredibly honored that we each have had the opportunity to serve. And we want our grandchildren and your grandchildren to feel the same way about this great country that we do. So God bless you. Thank you. Let's go out and win.
They're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets.
Yeah, I want to thank all of you for coming to the Dollhouse here in Orlando for this party. They're eating the parakeets.
Wasn't that a different side of Hillary Clinton? We don't see that. We see sort of a pre-constructed, prefabricated, the champion, the fighter, the bull ring fighter, the matador. And she, because now she's written books about this, she's also revealing, she told me about her discussion with George W. Bush after being at the coronation of Trump when he became president, and how Bush literally turned to her after Trump waxed on with these detached, bizarre, 20 minutes of word salad. George W. Bush turned to Hillary Clinton and said, "Now that was some weird shit." This is who she is now.
What was it all?
And as is saying here on, it looks like a Facebook message, I would have voted for that Hillary. Had that Hillary been around at that time, I think it would have made a big difference. So I think our politicians have had to upgrade themselves, downgrade if you're the male version, downgrade to the absolute lowest common denominator. There were videos in Miami of these fishing boats with twin counter-rotating 250 horsepower Evinrudes on the back with giant swastikas flapping off the back end and Trump flags on the top. Now, that's not illegal in the United States, but you might say it's distasteful because that's not what
message.
Yeah, well, there it is.
I mean, this is very similar. They have the "Don't Tread on Me" flag, but that they're using incorrectly. They're using it, the "Don't Tread on Me" with the serpent, which they've repurposed for their own designs. And yeah, I mean, look, and what is these? These are black flags, kind of. I think they're black and blue. Boy, that's apropos. So it's just awful. Yeah, it's crazy. Alana said that she's Jewish and she feels like it's life or death. I think that's accurate. I think that's absolutely true.
It is. So
they are eating the dogs. They are eating the cats.
Maybe a lot of people don't love Kamala. Understandably, she's brand new. No one ever knew who she was for the last 2 years, or for the last 3 years. And she's only been out on the stage for 2 months. And the reason she's been disappeared is because Jill Biden does not love her so much. Why? It's not that Kamala isn't smart. It's not that Kamala isn't capable. It's that when Kamala would stand next to Joe, she would upstage Joe in ways that even a first-year actor would cringe. It was too much. Her light was too bright. So people are seeing her for the first time. All you have to say on the opposing side is you can't trust her. Or what has she done for this economy? How do you answer that? The vice president? What is the vice president's job other than Dick Cheney, who redefined the president? Redefined it. Went to war, had no bid contracts for his own corporation, conquered half of the Middle East. We're still pumping oil. There's death and demolition in every direction. That's not the vice president's job, by the way. Vice president's job is to go to cemeteries and honor the dead, to sign proclamations and give them out because they look good, to go to Chamber of Commerce's. That's what Kamala's been doing. That's why you haven't seen anything of her. So how do you know whether you can trust her or not? You'd actually have to go find out. Find out yourself. But don't look to a guy dressed as Ronald McDonald riding shotgun in a garbage truck to look for your truth because he's branded something called Truth Social, or selling golden sneakers, or offering university diplomas. University diplomas, that's good. And who's the son of immigrants? Good heavens, a child of immigrants in America must be removed. Because if you're a child of an immigrant, you are therefore immigrant DNA. And as he said, those immigrants have bad genes, and we will cleanse America. If people don't seem to absorb what this means, of course, most of us don't have real history of World War II. The Axis and the Allies. Well, there it is, done. Mussolini, whoever that was, wore a hat. Much deeper. What actually happened? The multiple levels of Holocaust, the firebombing of Dresden at the end of the war with jellied petroleum later became napalm in Vietnam. Medical experiments done by both sides. But now all of it is normal. And Vladimir Putin will be handed Europe. Handed Europe. He once ran, remember, Poland, Hungary. Most of that whole Baltic area was part of Russia, including half the fatherland. So right in the belly button of Europe, half of that was Russian controlled. And it's on its way back because one of those candidates will get rid of NATO, hand it over, and the Russian Empire will run everything and finally allow a Trump hotel to be built in Moscow. 20 years in the negotiation. We now have a deal. And then your children will be studying textbooks in Russian. I mean, what's hotter than the Cyrillic alphabet? Let's just be honest. This is just on a good day. Then there's Project 2025. Goodbye to Medicare. Goodbye to your grandmother, by the way, unless you're willing to shell out $600,000 to get her bunions taken off and deal with her diabetes. So goodbye Medicare, goodbye Social Security, goodbye Department of Education. One of the first things to go, education. People that know things might have critical thinking. That goes away. Goodbye all the departments. You can kiss the EPA goodbye. Absolutely. We will pollute rivers once again, smokestacks, then we'll bring in RFK to tell you what's healthy or not. There's another one who likes to grab a little stuff now and then. I mean, this is so dystopian, right? Just beyond control. So it's up to us to make that decision. We cannot leave it to the bottom third of the pyramid. It's always the bottom third. It was in Germany in World War II. It was in Japan in World War II. It was in throughout much of the Austro-Hungarian Empire in World War I, the bottom third. They don't know anything, and they're susceptible to promises of wealth and goodness, and we're going to invite you into the court. You get to have a nice salad once a month. And you know, when you have nothing to lose, and a friend of mine who grew up in the Czech Republic back in the days of Czechoslovakia under the Soviet Union explained this to me, and it hadn't occurred to me in this way. He said, you know, growing up in the Soviet Union, we had nothing to lose. Nothing. You had nothing. You had nothing to lose. In America, these guys that are following this dictator who says, day one, I will be a dictator and I will control women, whether they like it or not. And I will steal and grift and tear everything apart and blow it all up. They have nothing to lose. So why not just roll the dice? Anything is better than today. And today, for many of them, they have no 401k, they have no retirement, they have no future. They can't afford their Medicare if they have it. They can't afford anything. They have no future. So anything is going to be better. And one of the candidates is promising them unlimited beer, drive a Hummer, burn diesel fuel, women, hundreds of thousands of women that are powerless. You can do whatever you want to them and they can't say anything. And if they do, smack them around a little bit. Like unlimited barbecues, burn shit, pollute the air, fart in public. Have it your way, like Burger King, even though he's a McDonald's guy. The other party is the party of less. Burn less fuel. Climate change. It's a problem. The other guy is, what climate change? Category 5 hurricanes? Don't exist. It's a hoax. Really? Have you seen my back lawn? Look at that AI. Wow. That's in the lighting change too.
Dun, 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 dun. Patriotic Cary, ladies and gentlemen.
That was good. Okay. Well, I'm done. I mean, if AI gives
And
you a little
don't forget
fanfare
Trump
like that, I'm good.
Bibles, $39.99, made in China. Lyrics by Lee Greenwood.
Well, let's wrap this up, but we'll bring back the great and powerful Renée Yaworsky for a final touch here. Where are you located again, honey? I forget. Are you Pennsylvania, New York?
No, I'm in New York for right now.
You're in New York for right now.
Yeah.
So are you in the city?
No, I'm outside of the city.
Okay. So you're out in the city. You're in New York State somewhere.
Yes, I'm in New York State.
So is it about a 50-50 split of who's going for whom?
No, I mean, it's still very heavily Kamala here, but if you drive out enough into the country, I'm sure you can find some Trump flags or, doomsday preppers somewhere, probably.
And how about you, Rory? You're in the Orlando area.
Correct. I'm still hopeful.
So is it about 50-50? Or?
I'm still hopeful for Florida. I mean, they had a golf cart rally for Kamala in the Villages. So
let's explain what that means, because not everyone is from Florida. So the Villages, and we do love to talk about the Villages, notoriously is this area near the center of Florida. And it's actually a giant city of 80,000 people that live in manufactured homes and sort of trailers and this and that. And they'd ride around in golf carts. And it's notorious because of the sexual appetites. Yes. They'll, a housewife, former housewife, a retired post-housewife will turn a pineapple upside down on her mailbox, indicating to a passerby man in a golf cart that she is ready, available, and hot to trot. He can pull his golf cart get out, walk through the carport right into the kitchen door, and there she is in her sort of Catwoman, leopard, tight, whatever. And he can have his way and then leave.
I see you have a 9-iron.
Yes. And this place was notoriously a Trumpkin village, not a Potemkin village, something different, but a Trumpkin village. And then they passed a law, their HOA board passed a rule that you can't have political signs on your golf carts all the time, because it does disenfranchise, let's say, half of those 80,000 who might not think like that. I'm not talking about the pineapples. I believe they're all there for that. But uniquely,
hair scrunchies.
Uniquely, a few days ago, a bunch of Kamala supporters took back their golf carts, took them back, got on, and put Kamala posters and had a golf cart parade in the middle of this Trumpkin village. Now, Democrats who aren't known for gigantic, hairy, hanging cods actually delivered descended gonads. And it was quite a treat, and it made the national news. So back to your point, when you said, Rory, well, geez, even the Villages are starting to pop and spark. Yeah. Florida could be blue again.
I know that the efforts to do early voting in this area have been really, massive. It was very easy. I went in and voted a couple of days ago. Just so smooth, so easy. Everybody was so nice. I didn't have a bunch of, red hat people go, yeah, you're going to vote for, go, whoa. We didn't have that going on outside. So it was nice. And we had 2 young people that voted for the first time. And when they voted, they said, this is their first time. Everybody applauded. So it was great. So,
yeah. So we'll just end with, if you are, late teens, have never voted before, and this is your chance. You're stuck on this orb for 80 more years. I'm just going to say it that way. You're stuck here for 80 more years, and you actually have a voice in how that's going to turn out. So it's up to you. We're just putting all the blame on you. We're putting all the weight on your shoulders. You have to fix climate change. You have a lot of work ahead of you, but you're here for 80 more years. And if this happens and it's not what you want to happen and you did nothing about it, 80 years is a long time to suffer. So fix the problem. Think of your grandmother and her Medicare. Think of your parents and their Social Security. Think of people you love, women you love, maybe yourself. You have a boyfriend, you break up, something happens. You should have a right to own your own body and make that decision. If you don't believe that, then go for it, baby, and enjoy your life in a concentration camp. The food isn't good, but at least it's consistent.
Now, with that said, and to these same people, I say, and this hit me the other day when I heard it, somebody, I can't even remember who it was that said it, but it hit me real hard, was that Trump is 78 now. So if he gets voted back in as president, he'll be 82, the oldest person to ever be president.
And you thought
Older
Sleepy
than
Joe
Joe
was
Biden.
sleepy.
And we've seen, his cognitive decline, this clear cognitive decline, especially over the last year. Yeah, you'll be voting in somebody that has the launch codes. That's, nasty and vindictive, just think about that.
And to your point, because you nailed it, he has nothing to lose at 82. And what a legacy. If you got to blow up Earth, you really are the God you imagine yourself to be. So we should probably take Icarus.
Daddy's finally proud of me.
Well, what a great way to end. Thank you so much, Renée Yaworsky, a world-class director.
Thank you.
Producer-tricks, an
Yes.
awesome, brilliant mind whose dendrites and synapses fire concurrently. And
Concurrently, yes, tandem firing. It's
tandem
amazing.
firing, her executive portion of her brain actually lights up. You don't even need machinery to see it. Her forehead actually pulsates.
That's
and
why I'm
glows.
not on camera right now, because it's very disconcerting for people to see that.
Like the caged women, or the things with the veins coming on their heads. She actually talks to me sometimes and her mouth's not moving.
And it's very much like the warnings you get, the disclaimers in the beginning of certain Netflix movies with strobing lights.
Yeah.
So we're just letting you know that's
Thank you.
reason you don't see her.
Exactly.
I want to give a shout out to somebody who's been here the whole time.
Ilana.
Yeah. For her commentary, which has been great.
She's another attorney. She's an attorney. She's a public defender, and she was just a guest on Rory and Manny's show that was earlier this evening. So you can go back and watch that.
Wonderful. And we are going to premiere a new show that starts next Monday in Los Angeles on broadcast radio called Unzipped. And I think we're going to record the episode this coming Thursday at 4 p.m. We may live stream it. Why not? And we're going to actually talk about all these things about human nature that people feel disinclined or too ashamed to talk about. It's time to kind of get this out and understand what makes us all tick. So it's going to be a radical new show. It's very ambitious of public radio to say yes, but why not? So we'll see if it works under the new administration or not. We'll either all be shot under Project 2025 because Vice President Vance has already said, if you have ever, even one time, ever looked at porn, you will go to jail. And they can go back in time digitally and see everything you have ever seen. They can go through every text message you have ever sent. And if he doesn't like who you are, you, under the law, Project 2025, which will be ushered in, could be bad. So let's take a look at why, for instance, foraminating with a harmless sofa seems to be so erotic. This is beyond me. I don't understand it, but we are going to have a psychiatrist on to break that down. Interfrasticating with furniture. These are things we need to know and understand. So I want to thank you all for joining us tonight. Thank you so much. Let's hope the doomsday election clock ticks down to 0 without anyone being harmed. And here's to 4 years of fun, frolic, mayhem, and merriment straight ahead. And we'll circle back with you probably the day after and find out how it all went. I'll see y'all later.